It's a fantastic Sunday, and it's the last Sunday of our 2015 SPL season, so hello and welcome. My name is F. Joined here by Hindu Man, and we're going to guide you through the conclusion of our season.
I'm going to be bringing you today Fnatic versus Titans Game 1. Fnatic already secured for second seed here, so we don't have to worry too much about them after. They'll still be, obviously wanting to win to get scrim practice in as well, ready for the regionals. However, Titan, they're currently sighting 4th seed, but they can take 3rd. Sorry, they're currently sighting 5th seed. They can take 4th if they do win one of these 2 games away from London Conspiracy.
So it's not quite all over for most of these teams. For some of these teams, Titan still fighting for it. And as always, one of the more exciting things about this season is that you can play along at home as well. So it's not over for you. You can visit alphadraft.com and go ahead and draft up some of your individual players to see how well your esports knowledge goes against the grain and see if you could win home some real money with your knowledge.
And the best news is that with the Super Regionals coming up as well, you've got a couple of weeks to look over all the stats about all the teams and players that are going to be going and get your roster locked in ready for the Super Regionals beginning.
So again, we talked a little bit before about how this is the last week of the regular season, and that of course feeds directly into Worlds, but the stop before that is going to be regionals, Super Regionals to be more precise. So Super Regionals is coming up in November in a couple of weeks, so players are going to be getting ready and practicing in the interim. And exactly what's going on there, we're going to turn 16 teams, 8 from North America and 8 from Europe. We're going to turn 16 to 12, and we'll see those teams come down here to hi-rez Studios to play and see who's the cream of the crop, where we'll turn 12 into 5. 2 teams from North America and 2 teams from Europe will make it out of the Super Regionals, and then 1 lucky team will be able to make it out of the 3rd place to make that 5 total, and those teams will make it to the Smite World Championship.
And the Smite World Championships you can see there between the 7th and the 10th of January. Tickets are on sale at swc.smitegame.com. Come join us and hang out and watch as the best cream of the crop on PC hang out to play for $1 million, but not just PC.
Right, there's also going to be an Xbox competition as well as a cosplay competition and a slew of other side events to go ahead and take in and absorb and just be a part of the Smite community. So SWC, not just for the esports fans at heart, but basically for everybody that really has touched the keyboard with Smite in mind. So exciting stuff coming up in regard to the Smite World Championship. But we've got to finish the regular season first.
We do
and
indeed.
It's Fnatic versus Titan. They'll be taking the battlefield today to start off our day.
And Fnatic, well, they've had a good season so far. Ups and downs, but mainly ups now towards the end. They've managed to secure 2nd seed for themselves heading into the Super Regionals, especially after Epsilon winning against Paradigm yesterday. And their wins previously against Paradigm has put them securely there. They can't drop lower than that today. These guys will be looking to maybe mess around with the meta a little bit, have a little look at what's available, especially with Zeus now being in play and a lot of people being in and around there. We'll see if we see any of that action.
Exactly, like we said, there's going to be a couple of weeks before the Super Regionals come through, so this will be the last time that players get to play on a competitive stage and see how things go. Worth noting for Fnatic, their jungler CaptainTwig has been out for a couple of weeks, but he should return.
He is back.
Ependary will still be on the coach side of things.
And Titan, as you can see, their player picks up there. BroTuZ, the newest addition to the team. They'll be looking for practice here as well to get themselves ready for the LAN experience of trying to qualify for the World Championships at the Super Regionals. However, the one thing to note on this lineup as well is that they do need to find at least 1 win here to secure 4th seed away from London Conspiracy. If they don't, they'll end up on the side of the bracket with Fnatic themselves and also Paradigm. So it's going to be a rough road for Titan if they don't manage to find a win here, I feel.
So it's all here for the regular season, all chips, all hands on deck for both teams. Fnatic want to, Fnatic just want to pull out all the stops and see how strong they can be, maybe experiment a little bit, whereas Titan, they're going to go in the opposite direction and just try and win the game flat out. They're going to be on the left-hand side with the first pick and first ban, and immediately Neath gets taken off of the table.
So they don't want to see that one go over to Zyrhoes in the mid lane mainly. We've seen Realzx run it before as well. Capri in response from Fnatic. Pretty standard. I expect to see Circuit banned amongst this as well. Janus too, which generally means we'll probably see, a couple of big picks slip through.
So do you reckon we're actually going to see the Zeus be played today? Because we saw it banned out for the most part yesterday.
With how bans have gone, something's getting through, and Zeus may get through. And if it does, I'm pretty sure someone will pick it up. That's the way I can call it here. I don't think Circuit will get through. Actually, Circuit gets through as well. That's quite surprising. So he gets Circuit through, Zeus through, Sun Wukong through, Janus through. That's a lot.
So, I mean, look at the characters that have been banned. The characters you just mentioned, Circuit, Zeus, etc., they are very strong characters, but a lot of the players view Hell just as a win condition. If you reach a certain point of the game, Hell is just too powerful to really deal with.
And that's respect as well to BroTuZ, who's had good play on Hell before, for Titan when he's coming to the Pro League. So take that one away from him. Don't give him a comfort pick.
Exactly.
maniaKK doesn't want to have to deal with a Hell in lane. No, sir. But you do give Prime the opportunity to take Janus here.
Well, you're taking a look at that, and basically Titan had the conversation of, do we go the Zeus, which is the new player, the new god, something new and exciting, or do we go the old tried and true, something we know is successful? And Janus, of course, does two things. Zeus provides a lot of damage. He's a newer character, so if he gets picked, we'll be talking about him a lot, but he provides a lot of damage, essentially. Janus, on the other hand, does the same, but also provides utility by way of portals.
That combo, though, from Fnatic is very strong already. Nuwa, Sun Wukong, probably two of the safest laners in terms of solo and mid. If they do go there, we could see Sun Wukong in the support role. But it's a very, very nice, easy, safe setup. Zeus got through, I was going to say then, but something interesting coming out of Titan here. We're going to see Zeus as well. That means Janus could be in the solo lane. I expect Janus more than likely solo than Zeus solo. I just want to call out that.
Really? And why would you say that?
I'd say that because in the solo lane, you're a little bit more isolated from team's rotation to be able to support you for the most part, which could be a detriment for him. He could get zoned out against a Sun Wukong as well. Sun Wukong could potentially go all in there.
See,
with the Thor pickup, it could be okay.
See, I actually think the opposite. I think that Zeus is he's not safe by any stretch of the imagination, whereas Janus is one of the safer gods in the game. So go ahead and put Zeus in the solo lane, allow him to sit in the corner and not really be pestered, and Janus, not for nothing, can rotate to either side of the map.
You say that, but then Janus could still make the rotations all the way over from the solo lane. Zeus, if he wanted to rotate to a fight, would have to get teleport or make a long rotation through the jungle. Doesn't have his mobility he used to have from his 2 being changed, so now that he throws that shield out, doesn't give him that mobility. I'd like to see him in the mid lane, a little bit safer. He's got one of the best jungle camp control in the game in the early stages, especially around mid Harpies.
Interesting train of thought. Geb going to be banned out by Fnatic, and Ares banned out by Titan, so the rest of the teams have generally been picked. Supports are going to be the thought process here for our squad. So we take a look at Fnatic. Ram, pretty much secured for the Hunter Reels. Sun Wukong can go multiple places, but Badgah tends to be a Guardian player, so we'll likely see Sun Wukong in the solo lane, and Nuwa likely Zyrhoes to play in the middle.
Just a nice safe lineup from Fnatic here. Look at what Thor options are to try and go down, go aggressive on. You've got Nuwa in the mid lane. Well, immediately 5 shells can come out. Sun Wukong, Cloud, Rama, take to this guy himself. All 3 of these can get themselves out of combat, and with that Batz pickup as well, the rotation can then come in from CaptainTwig in the jungle to come and support after the Thor try and make an attempt for a kill.
That's also going to be a part of the initiation out of the Fnatic squad. You look at Ram, Sun Wukong, and Nuwa, and while these characters, Sun Wukong is definitely what I would call a battle warrior. He can be in the middle of a fight for a long period of time. He doesn't have a true initiate, like a Wrath of Terra, I guess, is one of the most iconic initiations or fight starters. Batz's ultimate, Fear No Evil. Everybody starts walking other ways. Either you make the team spread out and you isolate an individual, or you strip beads. Either way, Batz is going to be a fantastic way to start a fight.
I love the pickup of Hou-Yi here as well. Hou-Yi is on the rise at the moment for all teams in the SPL. One thing I want to know about Hou-Yi as well is I really feel like he's the reverse Anher. In terms of his early game isn't the greatest. His jungle control is identical to Anher, very strong in the jungle areas because of what he can do with the ricochets as well as the suns coming down, so it makes a big impact there. On top of that, his late game is a hyper carry style as well and can really burst with the Mark of the Crow. So it's like Anher but in reverse. So instead of when Anher gets weaker as the game goes on to an extent, because he's not a hyper carry, Hou-Yi does become aggressive, but his early game's not as strong as Anher's.
Athena. Pretty standard pick. It's interesting to see her come all the way down this far, and it's going to be just another useful tool for Zeus to be able to use. We'll track Zeus as he makes his way into the jungle. This, of course, is the newer character, one of the most recently revealed characters here, and that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see Zeus in the solo lane.
You called it for the solo.
As I said, he's just too dangerous to put in the middle lane. He's essentially, I mean, he's one of the more dangerous mages. The most recent change to him, his second ability used to be called, it was a shield of some sort, and it gave him movement speed and deterred the enemy from attacking by way of adding charges. Now, it's just another damage ability. So
It is
he
another
doesn't
damage
have
ability.
anything to get out of problems.
But position's going to have to be the key in this lane for him. And it's going to be not just that. If he gets focused by Fnatic in this game, his team have got to make the rotations. Now, the good news is on the rotations is they do have a Janus and they do have a Thor, so great mobile presence to get around. On top of that, Athena as well. So mobility to support him in the solo lane is strong. However, you overcommit to that side, I expect to see Fnatic try and punish them at the Gold Fury.
Sure.
In response to that, Zeus in this lane should be pretty safe in the early waves. maniaKK has to respect that and just stand over the Jingle Bang. But once Jingle Bang and Bluestone Pendant, you know, hit like level 3, level 4, he's going to be able to clear the wave in full. It'll be a farm lane for a little while.
Right.
Keep an eye on Twig and the rotations.
Standard start coming out from teams for the most part. Titans mid laner. PrettyPriMe found himself in the middle after taking that red buff on Janus. And that's a standard clear out of the two heading to the dual lane. Now, one thing to note is how fast the Hou-Yi clear is right there, making use of the ricochets. It allows them to clear the cans very quickly, and both teams will make it to lane and the long lane at the same time.
Yeah, and it gives an advantage as well to PrettyPriMe in the mid lane more than anything. Generally, mid laners over on the Chaos side, they get there a little bit quicker, but with the help of Hou-Yi on this order side, it does allow him to just make this faster rotation. So he can start getting the Harpies and hit the equal level about the same time.
Badgah's seen a lot of success lately on this Bacchus pick. It works out pretty well for him, and previously we saw a lot of Geb and more defensive supports. Recently, though, he's changed to really opting for the Bacchus.
Well, Badgah's always been quite... Oh, that's a big combo in mid lane, actually. Are they going to follow up to kill Zyrhoes there? No. Good poke, though, coming out from the team. Double tap did not connect. But talk about Badgah. Badgah's always had the flexibility to go aggressive supports and defensive supports. For the most part, his aggressive supports are the ones that seem to really pay off bigger for the team, as I want to say. His defensive supports like Geb, very, very strong too. I want to say he's the cross between KanyeLife and Trixtank. KanyeLife is a more of a defensive support, but very, very good at that. At the same time, Trix the aggressive one. Badgah kind of meets them both in the middle.
A little bit of damage onto Realzx. Shield wall combining with a ricochet. Puts him down to about 40% HP. Badgah showing off that recent change to Bacchus. Burp now. He belch of the gods. Actually pushes minions back, so it gives Realzx just a little bit more breathing room.
And there's the strength of
the lane.
There's the strength of the Zeus in the lane right now. What happens is when you throw that shield out, your chain lightning basically can go double range if you bounce it off it.
So why don't you
can
break
get
that
free
ability
poke.
down for us? Because this is the first time we're really getting to see it.
Well, when it drops down, you can see that if you actually auto-attack it, it applies the charges to all creeps in the area as well, which you can then detonate, and then chain lightning could also bounce off it as well. So if you throw it under a tower at somebody, you can chain lightning it and make it bounce completely between it, potentially get 3 stacks off very quickly, and get a nice amount of damage from detonate charge.
It's a fun ability.
It helps him farm safer to an extent, but it reduces his mobility because he's not got that mobility on his 2 anymore. So he's one of these high-risk, high-reward. To an extent, if he gets caught, he's very similar to Ambuz and Cobb.
Yeah.
The only way to get out is to fight.
Yeah, it's like an Ambuz and Cobb or almost a Habwa, I guess. Although not quite having the water spout at his disposal kind of makes his fighting a little bit more interesting.
Well, he lacks CC just like Ambuz and Cobb in a fight. He lacks mobility, even though Ambuz and Cobb's got a little bit from the hives.
A little bit.
Right, it's some. But it's that same sort of game plan of like, if you overextend as an Ambuz and Cobb or as a Zeus, the only way to really get out of that is to kill the opposition that's trying to kill you. So try and take a life with you. So positioning is going to be very key from in lane. maniaKK in the early stages, probably going to get beat down a little bit, but I expect him to go for Stone of Gaia potentially a little bit earlier than we'd normally see, just because he's got 3 mages to deal with this game. An early Stone of Gaia, and then Zeus shouldn't be as big of a threat to him in the lane.
Repikas making his way over here. Bear in mind, both junglers have their ultimates now. Thor is a character that is willing to fight before level 5, but obviously Anvil of Dawn very, very impactful. Batz, on the other hand, really doesn't want to fight until Fear No Evil comes online. So now that both players are level 5, that's CaptainTwig ready to fight.
It's a funny old game, this one, because I feel like Titan's game plan should be here is to get Repikas to gank somewhere alone. He doesn't need Janus support just yet, but he should be looking to gank, and then waiting for the rotation from Twig, and then we see PrettyPriMe follow up as well with the Janus if there's a rotation response from Fnatic. That's the opportunity they should be potentially looking for. The only issue is, like I said, during picks and bans, is that Thor, where's he going to really find a kill? Because all these 3 gods in the lane that they'll be looking for priority targets on, the carries to an extent, all have ways to escape full CC combos.
Yeah, you're really not going to want to gank the Sun Wukong. Just not always a strong choice. Zyrhoes is going to be, I guess, your most likely target. It's either going to be Zyrhoes or the duo lane of Realzx and Badgah.
Well, Zyrhoes would have been, but now that you can already see he's picked up that beads rank 1, he's got beads and fire shards. So he immediately gets stunned, hits beads, hits fire shards. By that point, Batz should have rotated. You could have had some Wukong come over there with a teleport. Eventually he'll get there too. So just keep an eye on where the beads come from for Fnatic as well to keep the options available for where Repikas can look to gank.
Dual lane matchup here, Realzx versus Ataraxia making his way back into the hunter role. The fall split, we saw Ataraxia head towards the solo lane in exchange for Confrey, who is the original solo laner for this squad, going all the way back to when the team really started. So they had a role swap, and then after a while, Ataraxia came back after inviting BroTuZ to the team in exchange for Confrey.
BroTuZ has to be very careful now because these Jingle Bangs are starting to do well. You can see his position. He's got to hold very far back against maniaKK now, who's in a very comfortable position. BroTuZ already used his last health potion, and you can see the poke damage that maniaKK can put out. Don't forget, he's still got that ultimate as well, the Sun Cloud, so he can regen all this back. And BroTuZ, well, he's going to be careful about hanging around too long in the lane in case a rotation does come out.
Just dropped the ward there. He's very aware of how fragile this character can be.
I feel like you should probably go for a Bancroft Talon, I want to say, in this lane, just to help him sustain a little bit more in this lane. He's going to eat a lot of poke from maniaKK, and you can see what maniaKK's doing here. He's actually trying to freeze the wave, so BroTuZ has to overextend. And then Jingle Bangs out, Bluestone Pendant applies, continuing to tick BroTuZ down, and BroTuZ really wants the wave before he goes back, but that can sometimes cost you.
Exactly. Not really able to get what he wants. Repikas here will drop the blue buff for the Zeus.
I wonder if they're going to share experience here. Will BroTuZ be able to get over here in time to share the experience with Repikas? Don't look like it. Repikas is going to drop the buff before BroTuZ gets there, so not going to share as much experience as they would have liked. But Repi definitely going to have to help in lane here as the teleport comes back from maniaKK, which is very wise from him to keep this lane pressure dominance on BroTuZ now. He's got to keep poking him down and force BroTuZ into a rough situation.
Thor's here, but again, it's not really about the gank onto maniaKK. It's just about alleviating some of the pressure.
Look at that, though. We just saw maniaKK go back to base, teleport back in. He got hit by a wall and a double tap, followed by a little bit of damage from Zeus and a detonate, and immediately half health. And he's like, well, do I go back? But he realizes that with BroTuZ going back, he can at least push one more wave in before he heads back himself if he wants to.
6.5 on the clock. Relatively slow game we've got here going, very calculated from these two teams. Linking or dash in and a taunt.
It's good poke.
Puts Realzx down to about 60% HP.
Good poke, but Realzx is fine. He's not going to be too worried. He's got a death toll there as well. So nice early aggression from Titan. They're actually considering to look for. You can see what Kanye is doing there. He's actually baiting whether he's going to ult just to try and make the call outs from Fnatic not be correct. Like, oh, he's channeling ult, and nothing's actually really going to happen. Especially with that Thor combo in the jungle as well, they can really make an impact with that and like bait the fact that they think, oh, Thor might be in the air, Thor might be going up. That's why you see Kanye potentially baiting, going for that ultimate time and time again.
Right Harpies taken out by Fnatic. Left Harpies thinking about being taken by Fnatic, but now it's a 3-on-3. Ultimate for the first time out of the Fear No Evil Monkey. Here comes Athena and the suns are raining down. Titan provides a lot of damage to chase Fnatic out. Will they get a kill? They do. Ataraxia winds up with the first blood. They're all very low, though, so Fnatic pushing the gas pedal, unable to really find the kills. Titan take the first blood at about 7:30 over the left-hand mid-Harpies.
So that was a good fight for Fnatic originally because they dodged the damage coming up from Unstable Vortex from PrettyPriMe, but there was no additional follow-up.
Take a look at the top
looking
left
for a fast fire giant, actually. This is, sorry, Gold Fury, rather. They're going very quickly for this one. Zeus against the Zeus, this is very risky.
KanyeLife,
they get it.
Fall, but taking out the opponent first. KanyeLife won't fall. BroTuZ drops the ultimate, and that gives the Gold Fury over to Fnatic. So Titan pick up another kill. Gold Fury ultimately goes the way of Fnatic to even up the game.
Oh, wow. Ataraxia steals that one away as well. They didn't manage to pick that one up. You could see that Realzx could not be as aggressive as he would like to be. He was too low on health. If he got hit by a ricochet, potential death situation there. But the call for Fnatic to go for Gold Fury there, a little bit risky, but it definitely paid off for them. They traded that out for a death for maniaKK. I'm okay with that.
Well, so the reason that Fnatic went for that situation was you saw Titan got the first blood, but they were all about half HP or even lower. So the window's wide open. Fnatic goes directly to the Gold Fury. They say, all right, either they come back and we kill them, or they just leave us the Gold Fury. Titan does contest and wind up getting a kill. KanyeLife escapes by the skin of his teeth, about 20 HP on that Guardian, but Fnatic, because of the window they created with that push over by the left Harpies that they ultimately lost. That's why it's hard to say. That fight was a loss through and through, 1-for-0. But it's ambiguous because of the HP bars, and it opens up the window for the larger objective.
And it worked out well as well for both teams. Titan will be quite happy with it. Golf Fury early game doesn't give as much as it used to, but at the same time, Fnatic have evened things up back past the first blood and the second kill that went on to maniaKK there. I want to talk about the solo lanes as well. Great rotation from both of them all the way over to that fight. Immediately they were in mid lane when that engagement was going on at the Harpies, and they both made an influence at the Golf Fury in their own way. BroTuZ punished maniaKK, but maniaKK did what he needed to do. He was on zone duty, so him falling down wasn't too bad considering his team got that gold.
Looking for maniaKK is Titan.
It's a big
We've
rotation.
got 4 players on the right side, and Gold Fury down, so they know Fnatic can't respond in that way.
And that was a good rotation from Titan as well. They get the Suncloud out as well from maniaKK for free. Doesn't have beads at the moment, so keep an eye on Repikas here. I expect to see Repi potentially go for another gank attempt on this right-hand side. They'll probably go for Harpies first. If he's got a sentry, which we just saw BroTuZ put down, maniaKK could be in trouble in the solo lane if Repikas goes back over there soon.
Double taunt out of Titan's Guardian. Right into some damage out of Janus, but not enough
Bit of a mix-up.
to really claim a life here.
Bit of a mix-up there from Titan. They didn't combo the crowd control effectively enough. Wall came at the same time as Portal, so they used both those to try and CC them up. They could have potentially chained that a little bit stronger, which could have potentially found him a kill or two.
Harpy's just spawning. PrettyPriMe by himself here.
Just spend some time.
Couple of members of Fnatic in the mid lane. Badgah will be
Zeus
safe, but he jumps right into the ultimate out of Zeus. BroTuZ gets the kill there. Dive in the tower's Titan. They're looking for more. CaptainTwig just gets out. Has to drop the ultimate to save his own life. Now there's 5 members of Titan. Only 2 members of Fnatic here to defend. Make that 1 as maniaKK goes ahead and falls, but Ataraxia makes the rotation. So there's still 2, but the tower not really here anymore as a couple
Really
of basics out of the Hunter make that one fall. So Titan, they combine for 4 total kills in the game, and they take the first tower just shy of the 11-minute mark.
Fantastic rotation from Titan as a team there. We saw this at the start of the season from the team where they liked this 10-11-minute group up in mid, push tier 1 tower down, get a golden experience lead, get some map control as well. And it worked out for them this time round as well. One thing to note though, BroTuZ definitely needs to learn to relax a little bit there. He picked up the kill on Bacchus, but if he would have realized that if he held his detonate, he would have been able to pick up him and CaptainTwig and potentially put a little bit more damage on to, I believe, maniaKK, who was very low as well, as they all jumped into the ultimate after it applied to Bacchus. As soon as he got 1 stack on him, he detonated for the kill. If he held it, because Twig wanted to go back to tower range as well, he would have found a second.
Titan playing a largely different game than we've seen. Lately, Titan really hasn't been on the up and up, and this looks very different. Fnatic has been really dominant in the second half of the fall split, and not quite the same story for Titan. So what's really changed in this one?
Well, this one at the moment is all about mobility on the team. They've got the Athena, the Thor, and the Janus. All 3 of those can get around the map very, very quickly and put the damage on. And that's what you're seeing over and over again. The only issue I see from is as this game goes on, Fnatic's AoE team fight and strength in a big unit is going to be very strong. Take into account the Bacchus, okay? Bacchus all-ins and belly flops onto BroTuZ and the Zeus. Zeus can't cast anything when knocked up. They'll delete him. And then immediately the rest of the team can follow with Fear No Evils, as well as Rama on the backside too, new ward damage. It's going to be a big ask from Titan in a teamfight scenario to protect BroTuZ when they've got a Bacchus, which is a great pick to deal with people trying to defend the front line.
There you see the wave clear strength out of Zeus now that he's level 14. Early on, much different story. Of course, going against the Jinku Bang, everything's a much different story with regards to wave clear, but strong stuff now, really able to throw out that disc, and you really get to see how that works out. Gold Fury is about to respawn, and so the vision battle. Fnatic has vision pretty much all around this area. KanyeLife just walking all over tons of wards. Fnatic has every idea of where Titan support is.
And in good pressure from Titan, you can see that now that mid tower is down, they're able to rotate pretty freely through the enemy jungle and try and look for opportunities just on the other side of things. And you can see how deep Zyrhoes is having to play now. He can't push forward any further than he likes to, with an Athena and a Thor in the game and no one to defend. Very risky.
Portal gets caught out by Badgah. He's going to be taunted right into the ultimate out of the Zeus.
That's
early
great
detonate like you mentioned. A little more damage, and there it is from a distance. PrettyPriMe lays it down on top of the support. Bacchus sits down.
A good rotation, and the ricochet from Ataraxia was beautiful to pick up CaptainTwig. Wall double tap, looking for Zyrhoes, didn't find the double, but Fire Shards is forced. And Titan can continue the pressure on mid here. This could potentially be a tier 2 tower if they want to go for it, but maybe it's the Gold Fury with the call.
immediately these characters about face and head directly towards the Gold Fury as a unit. 2 people down for Fnatic. Badgah about to spawn, but if Titan have the damage that I think they do, this objective should be down before Badgah could even physically make it here. And just looking at the HP bar, definitely the case. Realzx is up, but Realzx unable to snag it. DPS is slowed by Titan.
Good beats.
Gold Fury falls. That's a good look for the blue team.
Yeah, luckily though, Repikas also managed to get out of a sticky situation there. He was looking for the pickup onto Realzx, who had those beads to get out. So Titan really putting the pressure on now. Can we check out the golden experience? Because I want to see how the experience is more than anything. 6,000 in the lead. That's pretty good for 14 minutes in. Titan do control this game.
And a lot of that experience lead is going to wind up on the supports and on the mid lane. Take a look, Badgah trailing by 3 levels to his opponent KanyeLife, and PrettyPriMe up 1.5 against Zyrhoes, as Zyrhoes just hits level 14. So Titan, a lot of the experience lead is on 2 characters specifically, which KanyeLife, sure, it's a support. That's just...
That's pretty important as well, because Athena can get a little bit more damage out as well. Obviously, max taunt for longer taunt durations, especially with full cooldown, means the ultimate's up more often, the taunt's up more often as well. And when you've got that extra levels, your base damages do go up.
Sure, I'm looking at the experience lead for Janus, though, honestly. I mean, that's where a lot of your damage is going to come out of, and having your mid laner ahead, that's always a strong showing.
Involved in every single kill as well. It just shows what Prime's doing on this Janus right now. And they're setting themselves up for a perfect game. I mean, with Hoyi in the late game, it's a hyper carry alongside, the likes of Realzx, Rama there, so that's semi-even between the two. But it's all about whether they can pick off BroTuZ, because BroTuZ is making an impact in these fights for the majority of the time, because he's forcing people back. If he's not finding the kills, the detonate is getting people so low, they have to disengage. They have to find a way to get onto BroTuZ in these team fights and delete him before he can get the burst damage off.
KanyeLife in the back, going to catch Badgah. The rest of Fnatic should be here, though. This might be a problem. But the aggression of the Titan in the solo lane keeps Fnatic underneath the tower. So KanyeLife really... to get away with one right there.
It looks like they're trying to group for the tier 1 tower potentially on the right side or steal away a jungle buff, but with the rotation from Fnatic, it's very difficult for Titan to try and find anything more than just their own camps for the time being.
Yeah, Fnatic's going to play hard defense here. Realzx going to stay in the lane. That'll force Ataraxia to come on back.
Ooh. I've not been looking at the build from Ataraxia here, but Hoyi went for Ninja Tabi for the attack speed, then into Asi, and then on for Iqbal as well. So he gets a little bit of lifesteal from the Asi coming out there. It's got extra penetration as well. But it's not a build we've been seeing very much this season. And this brings me back to the old days of Ataraxia and the crazy builds. Not the once known as crazy until everyone started building it, that he used to.
Well, one of the thought processes here, at least I believe so, is that Hoyi actually has one of the lowest base attack speeds of all the hunters. So by going attack speed, that will actually sort of, I guess, band-aid fix that issue and allow Hoyi to really box, because Hoyi is one of the strongest boxing hunters in the late game. Once Mark of the Crow becomes a really potent ability, then Hoyi really turns up and the damage one-on-one becomes tough to deal with. But before that, Hoyi is generally just another hunter with a relatively low attack speed, as I said. Base value is pretty low, so by building the early attack speed, that allows him to sort of ramp up the early game boxing potential, and then late game, Mark of the Crow does the rest of the work.
Well, the whole of Fnatic were on the right hand side there, taking the speed buff and make sure it was secured, but that means Realzx had to be very careful here, and he was wise to stay away, but the rotation comes out from Fnatic now. Repikas under pressure gets forced to beads and walk away, as also Kanye did use ultimate there as well. They may look to pressure the tier 1 tower left, but with the defense there, I don't think they'll find it.
Badgah gets taunted one more time, stunned out by the ricochet.
That was nice.
Jump for jump, so no belly flop on the side of Ataraxia. And Badgah's just going to chase these two.
Rotation,
He's got support. No fear, no evil, remember, from the monkey. He just used it on the top left side of the jungle. Here comes maniaKK.
This is a big fight. This is a big pick for KanyeLife, and they should be able to find him, I feel. It's going to be a rough ass for Kanye to get out of here. They may dive all the way in. Rama's in the sky with the snipes too. That'll secure one going to Badgah. The third snipe comes through from Realzx after a fire shards connects from Prime. So a 2-for-1 exchange so far.
Repikas is down to make that a 3-for-1. Ataraxia trying to run as well. He gets stunned. He gets smacked. He gets killed. Badgah winds up putting the 4th kill onto the board for Fnatic. The support actually winds up with 2 kills in that exchange. The tower falls. Badgah jumps directly onto BroTuZ after the AoE ultimate falls down. Fnatic take the tower, and they'll go back into their jungle.
Now, the other thing I mentioned about Zeus in the solo lane as well is that he'll have to get teleport to get into these team fights. What we saw there was maniaK pushed up to the tier 2 tower in the right-hand lane, knew BroTuZ was there to defend and was like, I'm teleporting across the other side of the map, we're going to take a 5v4, and you're going to have to transition through the whole jungle to get there. It's one of the issues of Zeus solo, mobility to get to team fights. Teleport does that for maniaK. Will we see BroTuZ do it in response to stop that from happening again?
I mean, why not? A lot of the times, one of the things that we see about mages in the solo lane is that they generally need 2 actives. That's why once upon a time when Hog was almost required for solo laners, mages were not allowed in the solo lane because they needed, or people seem to think that they needed 2 actives. Beads, I guess, most notably. An unsafe mage like Zeus might also want the blink that we see BroTuZ go ahead and pick up, but is it really that much of a stretch to go for the teleport?
Not so sure about the blink unless he's going to be going into the combat blink for defensive usage more than anything. He has to be very careful about his positioning, so being able to reposition very quick, similar to an Anubis, for example. Anubis doesn't have the mobility to get away. You'll see a lot of combat blinks on them as well to get themselves out of sticky situations, which the problem with that is I expect to see maniaK sit in one of these lanes for as long as possible, get as many rotations there, especially from Zeus, and then teleport to a fight and force a 5v4 again.
Yeah, I don't expect this blink to be anything but combat, honestly, Hindu. There's no, blink, chain lightning. You can do that from afar, especially with the new ability of the shield. So blink repositioning really screams defensive maneuver to me.
Well, Golfio may be started up by Titan here. They've got a potential opportunity. I mean, they do have a Zeus, but at the same time, there is an Intoxicate on the other end of the spectrum coming out from Fnatic too. So both these teams have the ability to try and execute a Golfio relatively quickly.
7-4 on the board here. Game number 1, Titan versus Fnatic. Gold reads in the way of Titan's favor, but just barely.
This response from Titan is very smart, though. Look where they've sent Janus to now, the solo lane. Deal with maniaK. Don't allow that 4v5 teleport to happen again. Janus can transition very quickly over to that team fight, much quicker than a Zeus can. Exactly. So they brought BroTuZ mid. This is why I expected Zeus mid lane last game.
Well, it's much different. It's much different now. Because during the laning phase, I will forever respect the decision to put Zeus in the solo lane because he's just not as safe as Janus in mid lane. By the nature of being in the middle, it is just more. There's more traffic. It's more dangerous. So you put Zeus in the solo lane and protect him. Now that it's later in the game, and one of the big Achilles heels of having Zeus in that solo is his lack of mobility. You switch that up. Janus can make it to these fights much quicker than the Zeus can, so you can throw Janus to defend and allow Zeus to join the rest of the team.
Fnatic just made a great play as well. Golfio is actually being done by Realzx there. I think we've seen Hou-Yi take control of that for a second. It's been reset because the rest of Fnatic were holding mid tower and putting the pressure on. They left Realzx just to be able to continue fighting this Gold Fury, which it looks like it may fall down now for Fnatic. Great call. Great call.
Repikas in the air just a little bit late. He's going to fall onto Zyrhoes all by himself. Fire Shards chased up. There's a stun. That'll get out the Athena ultimate onto the jungler. Titan. Now it's an all-in from Fnatic. Fear no evil's down. Bacchus jump is strong. And BroTuZ, he's going to fall to the hand of the monkey. CaptainTwig picks up the solo laner. Bacchus, Badgah has to run out. Being chased by Titan are 2 very low members of Fnatic. Bacchus falls. CaptainTwig will make it out, but maniaK cleaning up on the backside. He's going to take out Repikas, chased down by 3 members of Titan. Won't be able to make it out alive. PrettyPriMe takes the kill there. It's 9-6 in total on the scoreboard. That fight winds up being 2 for 2.
And it's all Fnatic's way now as well. This is what they're doing very, very well. Their rotations have been good. Their shot calling's been good. They pressured mid lane while Real soloed the Gold Fury. Ataraxia came in because he had a sneaking suspicion that was going on, but he got forced out by maniaK. The engagement that happened straight after, they focused Repikas. He had to beads. The Athena ult came out, and then the team tried to support him. So BroTuZ ended up being a little bit caught out of position when the Fear No Evil came out, so they focused down the Zeus. Zeus did not get the detonate off, which allowed Fnatic to win that fight. Big key.
And with that, I mean, Titan, both of these teams now, as I said, it was a 2 for 2. Badgah was the one on Fnatic to die, and that's really what I'm looking at. You got the solo lane Zeus and a jungle Thor down for the troubles of, I mean, you lost maniaK, the Sun Wukong solo, but you traded also a Badgah, so that one leans towards Fnatic, I would say, just by characters alone. And then, of course, you add on top of that the Gold Fury that really started that whole thing. So Fnatic definitely come out on top. With that in mind, though, Titan going for the tier 1 in the left lane, and it'll be theirs.
Realzx so very wise there. I mean, there was 2 people pushing. He didn't have vision in the jungle, was worried about potential teammates there, sorry, enemies there, so he didn't actually go in for it. They do secure their own purple buff, though, and now go back to farming once again, because Fnatic, they're trying to share the jungle as much as they can. You can see Badgah pretty much leaving Realzx alone now and just trying to continue farming and potentially catching up in an experience which he was behind on Kanye on early.
Yeah, now he is catching up just a little bit. What was that, 3 levels before?
It was
the
3
last
levels
time we
before.
checked in with the supports. Now Batz is trailing by a level, maybe a half a level.
And that last engagement as well, Badgah did a really good job of holding his ultimate until they all grouped up nicely. He waited for them to use their disengages and was in the perfect position to use the Intoxicate and keep the pressure on.
Breastplate of Valor being picked up by Zeus, so he's definitely aware that he's not the tankiest character in the world. Warlock Sash and the Breastplate of Valor, so Zeus definitely itemizing by way of not being a safe character, making sure that's in mind. Cooldown on Zeus, so we'll see a little bit more detonates coming out.
Wouldn't be upset with cooldown on Zeus. And he's played it very well. I expected potentially a Bancross for the poke damage that came out from maniaKK,
right,
but he's played this lane so safe he didn't have to win. Look at that combo already coming out. Using the shield into the chain line, and the aggression though is looking for BroTuZ from Fnatic.
Ultimate from the monkey on the backside. That'll push Titan off of the tower. The tower remains with about 30% HP, but maniaKK, no ultimate available. He's going to be on the front. Badgah takes out BroTuZ with help from his friends. PrettyPriMe being focused by the jungler. Nowhere to go. Aegis is strong, but just for a moment. CaptainTwig takes down PrettyPriMe. BroTuZ here. Or BroTuZ dead, rather. Bacchus here, and Realzx takes out Ataraxia. Repikas, one of the last remaining members of Titan alive. He's going to find himself safely under his tower after Athena backs. Fnatic have full reign over the map.
Once again, a beautiful rotation coming out from Fnatic and good teamwork skills as well. They look for the pick onto Zeus. Zeus got all defended very, very well, but then they still managed to commit. Intoxicate came out to finish him off, so they focused to Zeus. Very important every single team fight. Straight after that, what we saw from Titan, though, was they tried to peel for each other and help each other. Prime ended up dying because he put a portal down to deter Realzx from trying to solo Ataraxia, and that meant he was in trouble himself, and he ended up getting picked because he didn't have portal to escape.
Strong fight coming out of Fnatic. Gets them the Fire Giant as well as a fair lead. 4,000 gold by way of the yellow and black. 9-9 kills are all tied up as we approach our 26th minute in game number 1. One more time, Fnatic, they are secured in their seed, but Titan need to find a win if they want to move up the standings as we go into Super Regionals. So Titan, they look to really be controlling this game early on. In fact, they had 4 unanswered kills, and I think they even got 6 before Fnatic put something on the board. But now Fnatic, as we approach the mid and the late game, Fnatic have just turned this one around and are just driving the boat.
Well, there's one thing about this, right, is that you want to protect Zeus. We've mentioned this all the time. You want to protect Zeus because his mobility lacks. His damage, however, is insane. And the one way to get to a backline god is to have gods with great mobility, ignoring having to just walk in there or dash in there. Leaps are important. That's why the last 2 picks of Fnatic here, which was Badgah's Bacchus and Batz for CaptainTwig, allows them to close the gap very, very quickly down onto him and stop the taunts coming out from Athena that are going to impact it. Stop the walls from Repikas from impacting it. Stop the portals from Janus from impacting it. They can get to this Zeus and collapse on him, which is key to Titan's game plan.
maniaKK with the taunt out against Repikas as Repi tries to defend this last tower in the solo lane. maniaKK most likely just going to claim it with this wave if he decides to show a little bit of face here. But Fnatic in general going to group up for the left side. Titan recognized, so they stack 4 on the left side, leave Repi in the middle, push out some of these minions. Fnatic just pressuring all sides of the map.
It's really
right
smart.
now.
Just split up, pressure the sides. You've all got safe gods to escape bad situations. The rotations can come in very quickly. Obviously, maniaKK with that teleport available as well. Good mobility on Batz in the jungle with that speed buff. So they can rotate around the map everywhere.
Tier 2 falls to maniaKK, and he's still here in the right lane.
Good
if
top.
nobody responds, he's straight to go for the Titan, or for the Phoenix at least.
You see the response there? Teleport immediately from maniaKK as soon as that double man taunt came out. Immediate teleportation. Meanwhile, Nuwa gets mid lane tower, and the pressure from Fnatic is going to force Titan back on the left too.
Ataraxia drops the ultimate to push Fnatic off the tower, but unfortunately Fnatic pushes the way Titan don't want. They take the tower and just go down the lane. PrettyPriMe unleashes the ultimate, which chases CaptainTwig. He's now a non-factor out of the fight. Also hits another member, but Realzx should in general be fine. Now Titan have the numbers advantage, and they make use of it. Ataraxia puts number 10 on the board.
You might put number 10 on the board, but with the God Fury being down, they ain't going to go for the Fire Giant here. Fnatic will recall back to base. On top of that, we've also got all 3 tier 2 towers down for free.
Right.
Completely free.
Look at the impact, though, of that sort of long range. I mean, PrettyPriMe is one of the best players in the world. Nobody's gonna refute that fact. He didn't aim that ultimate to hit CaptainTwig the way that it did, right? You fire at the group of people, and you fire and forget, and you get what you came for, or you get what you can. CaptainTwig gets hit so hard by PrettyPriMe's ultimate that it immediately changes the landscape and dynamic of that team fight. All of a sudden, CaptainTwig's at sub 5% HP is a non-factor in the fight. Granted, he already ultimated, but still, can't be in the fight, so that makes it a 5-on-4. Titan take that opportunity, take down maniaKK. They realize he's one of the front lines for Fnatic, and they go directly to the mid lane to turn it into a fight.
Pressure.
But CaptainTwig is back, control over many. Realzx picks up one off of the Fear No Evil. Repikas trying to stop the fight. Fnatic pushes on forward.
Going to push on forward, and our BroTuZ is the one on the front line all alone. Has to be to avoid the stun, but the rolling from Realzx should help him secure that kill before he can get another detonate off as well. And for me, that was Titan trying to make something happen in the mid lane. Instead, they were against 4 members with a Fire Giant that just destroy them.
Exactly. See, right there, the problem was Titan, as I said, they took the opportunity. They got the kill on maniaKK, and they recognized that they took out one of the frontliners for Fnatic, so they go directly for the fight in the mid lane. What they didn't realize was CaptainTwig was pushed out of the fight, but he didn't die. So he's ready and waiting for them to come the middle lane, and with that, Titan fight off more than they can chew in the mid lane. Fnatic take the fight. They're going to pick up a couple of kills, and that allows them to walk directly into the base. Titan being aggressed on. Is this the game?
It is the game.
It definitely is. The Titan's going to go ahead and fall, and Fnatic pick up the first win of the last day of the regular season. Fnatic come up 1, while Titan's still struggling.
And that was a beautiful performance from Titan early game. They executed their game plan to a T. They got a lot of early kills, a lot of early pressure, early God Fury as well. They really put the pressure on across the whole map. Every lane was leading. They had a good experience lead. But then when it came down to the rotations, and the mobility factor didn't really help Titan in the end. It kind of hindered him because of the solo lane Zeus. Zeus made a big impact, but the picks from Fnatic were fantastic. Those 2 gods, Batz and Bacchus, leaping in, looking for the backline all the time. There's not a whole lot you can do when the Zeus is always going to back up all the time.
Exactly. We saw that time and time again, just Bacchus providing so much strength to the squad. And of course, the beginning of the game was very different.
Perfect.
All started by way of Titan. And Ataraxia really put the first kill on the board. And that started the snowball of the first, what was it, 4, 5, 6 kills unanswered by Fnatic as the game started. Titan looked very strong, but what happened in large part was the composition from Fnatic really rounded out. And at the end of the day, a scary Rom is a scary Rom. Late game Realzx turns up, and he winds up being our player of the game.
Yeah, it could work from him as well. I mean, to be fair, Hoi early game, we saw his aggression in the jungle for that first blood, but then as the game went on, well, Realzx got himself in some very good positions as per usual, landing some devastating snipes, as always required.
Yeah, this was really strong right there, set up by the Janus portal.
So he held that last one. Held the last one to make sure he confirmed it on the landing, as well as the 5 shards connecting, picked him up there's the double, and then chasing him for the triple, which I believe we saw go over to maniaKK.
Bacchus.
Belch of the gods.
Bacchus got the unofficial double in that fight. Now, it's very interesting. Realzx, you see the calculated, so meticulous. He waits out. He knows just how long Rom can stay in the air and allows to do that. And this right here, this is pretty much the quintessential Realzx play for me. Off the backside, just ults from the side while the fight's going on 4v5, takes down and lowers the HP of pretty much everybody, if not getting a kill, and then rolling forward, getting a cripple with the big shot, and concluding the team fight after sort of providing the artillery from inside the jungle.
Exactly, and his whole job there was, if you notice when he was doing that, he was consistently looking for the pressure onto the priority target, which in that case was Ataraxia in that last little clip we saw there. Consistent pressure, looking for the correct targets at the correct time.
That was game number 1. We'll get into game number 2 in just a hair. We'll see if Titan make the adjustments. Will we see another Zeus? That's the question.
Potentially, we might see it go through picks and bans again, but look at that from Alpha Draft. Great performance from all of them. Even PrettyPriMe, though, sneaking on that list because of Titan's very, very strong early game. He had a big impact of Prime in the mid lane. Unfortunate for Titan that game. I liked what their whole game plan was.
Right.
They just got outdrafted towards the last couple of picks where those leaping gods, I feel the leaps were just a big key to the win there. It's a strange one.